morning is all about building partnerships, meeting someone new, dreaming up new collaborations, and learning about funding. So I'd like to welcome Michelle Wilcox. She's the Columbia River Basin Funding Assistance Program Team Lead for EPA Region 10, and also serves as Region 10's Governmental Liaison and Non-Point Source Program Coordinator for the state of Washington. And she's going to share some information about the Columbia River Basin Restoration Program. Please welcome Michelle.
Thank you for having me. I was a last minute ad. We actually have our Columbia River Basin Working Group meeting tomorrow in Cascade Locks, and that's a bit about how we found out that you were having your conference today. PPRC is one of our grantees. We asked them to speak tomorrow. They said, oh, we can't. We're doing this pollution prevention conference. And I was like, aha! I know where I'm going on Wednesday. So, thank you for having me. This is called speed sliding. I was asked to shorten my 15 or 20 slides down to 2 or 3. So this is called speed sliding. And so basically I'm here today to talk about our program. It's a relatively new program. I see a couple of our partners and our friends in the audience who are part of our working group. So talk about the program, and then also talk about that we have a lot of funding coming through our program through the bipartisan infrastructure law bill. And this is for 4 states. I'll get into my presentation real quick here, but it's basically for 4 states mostly, and we are going to be having some requests for applications coming out soon. So I want to come to this group. A lot of you are practitioners that are actually implementing the work that we are trying to get in the basin. So hopefully this will appeal to some of you folks. And then because I'm a last minute ad here, I will be available afterwards for questions, business cards, any kind of follow-up if you want to talk to me directly. So the basin is one of the largest watersheds in North America. It's 260,000 square miles, or for my visualization, it's about the size of France, which is huge. 7 states, including significant portions of Idaho, Montana, Oregon, and Washington. And the priorities of vital economic, environmental, cultural, and social benefits to millions. And toxics are widely distributed in the basin. Past research and monitoring shows toxics are present across the basin, and efforts to reduce these toxics has been ongoing for a long time. And because of these sustained efforts by multiple entities and tribes and tribal governments, we now have a Columbia River Basin Restoration Act. And so we actually were our amendment to the Clean Water Act, which is pretty huge. And so you see up there you will not see up there here. I gotta move along here. Okay, so the Columbia River Basin Restoration Act was established back in 2016. We got our first round of congressional appropriation in 2019. It was about $1 million. We get about $1 million or $2 million through congressional appropriations now for the last couple of years. If folks have been tracking us, we went out for 1 request for application biennial. We're now on our 2nd one. We just closed that, and we're coming up with more. We also have a working group, which I mentioned that we meet tomorrow. We meet about every 6 months, and we have about 350 or more on our email distribution list. And tomorrow will be our first hybrid meeting, just like you. We haven't met in person for a while, so looking forward to reconnecting with folks. And then this is what we've recently received, $79 million, and providing support over the next 4 to 6 years. We are having 3 new requests for applications coming out. One we are letting at the end of this month, cross fingers. That will be for tribal governmental entities only. But we also are working on a fund-to-funder request for applications, which is basically big program, big entity that can implement across multiple locations or across states. So for example, typically that may be a state agency or a larger nonprofit, or someone who can implement a big program. And then also next summer, we will go back to kind of our regular RFA, if you will, our general toxics reduction, and that would be smaller money, smaller projects, smaller timeframes, and that would be open to all eligible entities that we have now. So I'll just run through the eligible entities real quick, because that's probably a deal breaker for some folks. So our eligible entities include tribal, state, or local governments, regional water pollution control agencies and entities, non-governmental organizations. So for example, like the University of Higher Ed, as long as they're a nonprofit, they're eligible to apply. And soil and water conservation districts. And also, even if you are not eligible, like for example, the request for applications that we're doing for tribal governments, or we will be doing shortly, even if you're not a tribal government, you can partner with that tribal government and implement their program and their idea, but they have to be the entity on the application. So we look a lot towards partnering and partnerships, but the person who applies must be eligible. And then the work must be for the purpose of environmental protection and restoration activities within the basin, and may include programs, projects, and studies, and it's all to reduce toxics. So the basin itself goes up to the U.S. border, so it has to be within the U.S. border, and then it also dips into western Montana a bit, and then Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, and then there's a little sliver down in Nevada and Wyoming and California. And so our priorities to reduce toxics in the basin, okay, good, that's the right side. So we have best management practices, so the agricultural best management practices, technical assistance, getting out in the field, helping folks with reducing spray drift, for example. We also fund green infrastructure to reduce toxic stormwater, working with City of Vancouver, some of the lower estuary partners around Portland on some of that work. Pollution prevention efforts, we have, PPRC is one of our grantees, EcoBiz is one of our grantees. So working on how to prevent pollution either with auto shops or smaller scale haz waste manufacturers that maybe don't trigger big guys. And even just residential folks, right, trying to get safer choice chemicals out there for folks to use on their lawn. And then also we fund quite a bit of outreach, education, and community engagement. So working with bilingual communities, working with schools. So there's a lot of just getting folks aware of what's going on in the basin. And then also we fund cleanup of small scale, non-CERCLA, so non-RCRA sites. So this is basically targeting, again, those smaller cleanups that don't trigger or aren't being addressed through those larger pots of money. So that's it. I just did my little speed sliding. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me, and I'm available for questions. But again, the link there to our website, so any of our requests for applications, funding assistance programs, that will be posted there. Also, if you do want to become part of our working group and just get our email distribution list, even if you never show up for the meetings, please let me know and we can add you to that. So thank you.